Are you alienating your fans and turning them off to your music and not even realizing it? Today on the podcast, we're talking about ways that you could be turning your fans away. We don't want that, so we'll see you on the inside. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Thanks for joining me today on the podcast. You have reached the Songwriter's Planner podcast. My name is Mike. I am the creator of the Songwriter's Planner. And I started this podcast last year to kind of give myself an opportunity to talk about certain things that musicians and artists deal with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And today is no different. So if you're joining me for your first time today, thank you very much. And as well as all of my repeat visitors, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope that these subjects I talk about are valuable to you and valuable to other artists and musicians, because I am one myself and I only like to talk about stuff that really affect our musical community, so to speak. I'd also like to quickly mention that this podcast is on iTunes and it is on Spotify under the Songwriter's Planner podcast. It's kind of a mouthful there, but you can find me on there and you get notified every week when I post this new episode. I try to do weekly podcasts, so hopefully we'll stick with that plan. So anyway, thank you again for joining me. Today's episode is about something that I see. I've been seeing quite often online in the music scene. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been here for a while, and we have a really good music scene. And I think it really represents a lot of the music scenes around the country. So if you echo what I'm telling you today and any of my other podcasts, let me know. But today's episode, we're talking about how you could be possibly alienating fans and not even realizing it. Now, what does that mean? Basically, turning fans off to your music. Let's say they see you and they like you and they like your music, and then they realize that you might be alienating them by things that you're saying about getting down on, say, the music scene or people not buying enough music and things like that. It's kind of this negative connotation that we put out as artists and musicians. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and that's kind of like an introduction, but I wanted to backtrack and talk about the current landscape of the music industry. If you are an artist and a songwriter, musician, you are probably very familiar as to how difficult it is for people to actually buy your music. I'm talking downloads, I'm talking in physical forms. These things just don't exist like they used to. It is a changing industry, and there's really not a whole lot we can do about it. And, other than if we're talking about making money, which I've had other podcasts in the past where I have talked about ways that musicians can still make money. You can check that out. But it's a changing industry, and when things like that change, frustration sets in, especially for artists who are used to creating the art and putting their heart and soul in something. And it's just not a situation where you're going to get paid for your songs, okay? Literally like the song itself. And this can bring out frustration in artists. And it can be really, really difficult to try and navigate how in the heck can I be an artist and get compensated for my work. In addition to that, I also see a lot of negativity and a lot of, I hate to use the word complaining, but a lot of words going back and forth about every city's local music scene, or supporting local music, or supporting the art, supporting your band. I see that a lot. It's a common theme, not only to my city, but I imagine to your city as well, of musicians and artists basically saying, we don't get enough support, you should support your local music. And, just basically thoughts like that going out into the internet, into the world, into one-on-one conversations out and about at shows, to anywhere. It happens all the time, everywhere. And I think if not watched correctly, or if this message isn't delivered correctly by us, by the artists, to the fans, to the people who are interested in our music, it can come off as a turnoff for them. So, and let me explain what I mean here is, if you're an artist and you go to your fans and you say, Why aren't you downloading my music? You should buy my music, download my music here. You can buy it here. Stop streaming. Or you're not necessarily saying that to your fans per se, but you go online and you voice your frustrations. And you say how streaming is ripping everybody off and the artist should be compensated, and why, we don't make any money anymore. All these things are valid points. They're valid points. But if this is a message that you express often, the person who you may not know could be a possible fan is going to pick up on that, and it's going to kind of turn them off, because a lot of people, especially if they don't know who you are, and I hate to say this, okay? Yes, every artist is going to have your true fans, your hardcore fans, and they're going to support you no matter what. They're going to buy your album. If you say buy my album, they'll buy it. If you say download my MP3, they'll download it, okay? But the majority of where you're going to get your fans are people that don't know who you are, okay? The vast amount of people in the world that you haven't found yet are out there, and that's going to be a good audience to tap into. However, if your message is that I'm not being supported as an artist because no one buys my music, or I'm not being supported because no one comes to my shows, if this message is part of your main message, you're going to turn off potential fans. And I'm going to say it here, okay? Most fans, or most casual listening audiences, don't care about how much money you're making off of your music, okay? I said it. They just don't. Most people, if they find you, they hear you, they like your song, they'll listen to you, and maybe they'll check out your website, okay? Someone will find you, watch your video on YouTube, and then they'll move on. Most people's concern is not how much money you're making as an artist, okay? I know it's tough to hear, and I know that it is tough to swallow, and we put our heart and soul into our art, but there's a lot of people out there that don't care and aren't going to care, okay? And you know what? That's the way it is, and that's not what you want. That's not really the main point I'm making here, but what I'm saying is that you're not going to change people's minds if they are not completely dedicated to you and your music. But you do want to wrangle these people in as your fans, because they may not pay for your music. They may not go to all your local shows or any shows, period. But what you want to build in this day and age is a audience. And I'm not saying the kind of audience that is you play a show and they're sitting in the room. That is an audience. But what I mean an audience in the sense of an online audience. And when you have news, people perk up and they go, oh, I want to hear. When you have something to say, when you have new music coming out, you have an audience of people that perk up and want to hear what is going on, what you have to say. And believe it or not, it is very difficult to build that audience. And you don't want to alienate these people by coming off as negative Nancy and complaining about how you're not getting paid and complaining about how you're not, there's no support for the local music scene. You actually could be hurting yourself and turning off people who are on the fence or you haven't even met yet. I don't know. I hope you're sticking with me on this one, because it's really important, and I think musicians make this mistake in that we feel this kind of entitlement to get paid, to have money given to us because we create art. In a perfect world, that would be great, but that's not the way it works. But that doesn't mean you can't build an audience at your shows or online. More importantly, online, because you reach more people that way. The goal is still to build an audience, and you can't build an audience if all you're doing is putting down people who, nameless, faceless audience people, fans in the world that you don't know, putting them down for not supporting music, okay? I really think that you can turn a lot of people off, and guess what? You don't want to do that because there is so much competition out there. They'll go elsewhere. They'll find someone else to listen to. I mean, it is that easy. And that's why it's so important to stay on the positive side, to stay positive to your fans, to stay positive even in the face of it feels like you're not getting anywhere, you're not making any money, or nobody's coming to see you. You have to stay positive because you don't want to lose the fans that you already have, or the fans that you could potentially be having by basically scolding them. Scolding people who aren't buying your music or aren't going to your shows, It is so easy for fans to switch gears and go in a different direction because there is an abundance of music out there. There is so much to choose from. And if you turn a fan off, guess what? they're not coming back. They're going to go find someone else to listen to that they like and they believe in their message. Okay. I don't know if you guys see this out in your music scene. I just wanted to challenge this mentality that I'm seeing and I hear online of we should be getting paid. Why aren't we getting paid? You know, it's about the negativity that's coming through, and it's not the focus on the positive, which is thank you for coming to my shows. Even, you know, your fans may never give you money, but you still have to thank them. Thank you for paying attention to me. Why? Because they could be paying attention elsewhere. It's so easy to do in this day and age. Now, what does that mean? Okay, will they ever give me money? You say, okay, well, maybe not. It depends. If they do, great. If not, that's still good too. There's still an audience for you. There's still people that will listen to you. There are other ways that you can make music, make money off of your music. But if you are a genuine artist, you appreciate the fans that you have already, whether they give you money or not, doesn't matter. You appreciate the fact that they're paying attention to you, because attention is a commodity in this day and age. Attention is a true commodity. And be thankful that they're giving you their attention enough. If you're honest, you appreciate them, you appreciate the time that they take to listen to you, eventually it will pay off for you. Now, it may not pay off for you in a way where your fans are throwing money at you, but it could pay off in that you have a big audience now, and guess what? Someone wants to sponsor you because you have all these people who have you have their eyes and ears. So maybe you can get a sponsorship, right? Maybe you can now set up your website and do affiliate marketing off of that because you have traffic to your website. You can make money off of that. You're not making money directly off of your fans and people coming to your shows or not coming to your shows or buying your music or not buying your music. What you want to focus on is building an audience. And if you have a deep audience, if you have a lot of people paying attention to you, that gives you clout now to where you can leverage that to make money in other areas. Are you staying with me on this one? It's really important. There's a difference between asking your fans for money or using all your fans as leverage to get paid elsewhere. Okay, and it's actually better that way because you're not hitting up your fans you're not hitting them up to say, hey, buy my CDs or albums or whatever you're doing. There's a big difference there. So what you want to do is avoid alienating fans or people who are potentially going to be your next fan. You don't want to be negative to them. You don't want to scold them. You don't want to make people feel guilty for not buying your music, or don't make them feel guilty for not coming to your show. They may have other things going on. Your band, your music is not their life. So you just want to be thankful for the attention that you do get. And if you stick with that, people will come around. And like I said, you can use that as the bigger your audience gets, because of your genuinity, I think that's a word, and because you appreciate them and because you're honest with them, you have all these eyes and ears on you, and now you can leverage that for something else. That's the way it works today in this modern age, and it is a change from the way the industry used to work, where the artist puts out music is bought, money goes into the artist's pocket. That model is disappearing, if it hasn't already disappeared by now. But the new model that's coming in is like I just described, where you want to build an audience and leverage that audience in other areas so that you can make money. You can get better opportunities. If no one's listening to you, and if you don't have an audience, and you've alienated everybody because you're complaining about it, guess what? Nothing's going to happen for you. No one's listening to you, so no one is going to give you an opportunity to play a bigger show, to get any kind of sponsorships, to get endorsements. You're going to have no website traffic whatsoever, so you can't leverage that into income. You're going to have nobody checking out your YouTube videos. If you don't have people listening to you, then you're not going to make money there, and you're not going to make money selling your music. It's a lose-lose situation. So you want to stay on the positive side of your message, of your music, okay? Just don't be pushy, don't be pushy and tell fans, man, why aren't you guys, there's no support for the local music scene. Nobody supports music, nobody's buying music. Artists are getting ripped off, blah, blah, we're not getting ripped off. It's a changing industry, and we have to change with the times. And if you don't, you'll be stuck in an older model, and you won't be making money or have anybody coming to support you, because you'll be pegged as the guy who complains or the person who complains a lot about what's going on around them. You want to nurture what you have so that you can grow this audience. Nurture your current audience. Be like I keep saying, be appreciative of them, be productive with them, give them content, give them music on a consistent basis, give them, videos on YouTube, give them videos, live stream videos on Facebook, give them a newsletter, give them a blog post, start a podcast, do something. Nurture your audience so that it grows. Growing your audience should be the number one priority, not making money. The money will come later. The money comes when you actually have an audience. But you can't make money if you don't have people paying attention to you. So that's kind of the message for today's podcast. I could definitely talk about this a lot more. I think it is a key point in the way that artists function in the modern music area, and I think it gets overlooked way more than anything as to why artists feel like they're not making money anymore, or why they feel they're getting ripped off or shortchanged, I should say, or being ignored. That's not the case. It's just a changing industry. We need to change with it. I'd really like to hear your guys' comments on this subject. It's really important. It's kind of dear to me, and I think it's really important that you get a chance to chime in. So feel free to hit me up on Facebook, hit up my Facebook page, send me an email, and I would definitely like to hear what you guys have to say. So remember, thank your fans. Say thank you. No matter what they contribute to you, it doesn't matter. If they're there in front of your face and they came to see you or they talk to you online, say thank you and just keep nurturing that audience. Don't ask them for money. Ask them, just thank you for their time. And if you are lucky enough to get money from them, then thank you. Make sure you give them thanks as well, okay? All right, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Let me thank you guys. Thanks for joining me on this podcast. Make sure you check out my other podcasts, and you can subscribe to me on Spotify and iTunes if you'd like, or just hit me up anytime on Facebook. All right, guys. Peace and love. I'm out.